Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe floating through the void of Yah's creation. It's a Wednesday, hump day, don't you be a chump and crump day version of the WTF reports. Are you having fun yet? I certainly hope so. Keep your vibration high. All right, welcome to the WTF Reports. I'm Dave vonKleist with the facts. WTF, I got the audio receipts and I play them, so you can't say it's Dave said that. You're going to hear them right from the horse's mouth. So anyway, getting started right off the bat, I want to focus on an attitude adjustment. Yeah, we all need to have an attitude adjustment because, you know, the powers that be, they want everybody stuck in a loop. They want us all afraid, fearful, scared, angry, frustrated, all of that stuff. And all of that stuff is negative. And the more that you react with anger or frustration or sadness or whatever, I mean, those are low vibrations. Now, I'm not trying to sound new age or anything like that. I'm talking about your basic survival here. If we're constantly living in a state of fear or angry or sadness or frustration or something, those are all real negative frequencies, negative emotions. And that keeps us stuck in a loop. So this is why, I've been saying for years and years that, there's something to be said about karma. If you put out good vibes, you get good vibes back. And if you live in a state of I don't know, forgiveness or gratitude or whatever, those are all positive frequencies, okay? And the more positive that you are, the more positive things around you will happen. Yeah, I suppose you could say, oh, it's manifestation, that's new age stuff, blah, 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 whatever. I'm just trying to convey to everybody that if we stay in a state of fear and anger and all that stuff, I mean, we're just going to be stuck in a loop. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And to exercise my own hypocrisy, I want to share with you a little bit of my frustration. Now, for you regular listeners, for the past week or 2 weeks, I've been screaming from the rooftops about contacting your representatives. And again, this is not partisan. This is not, liberal or conservative. This is, has nothing to do with partisan politics. What it has to do is keeping our country. And we've been talking for the past couple of weeks about Section 224 of the NDAA, about basically merging the Israeli military with our military. A lot of people are freaked out about that, and well, they should be. Okay? And then there's Section, 622 in Senate Bill 4715, which I have a copy of here, which basically, merges our intelligence. Okay? So they want to merge, and I say merge just to be safe. I mean, let's face it, folks. Israel is basically taken over most of our institutions in this country. We know that they run the media. We know that they run big pharma. We know that they run big agri. We know that they're running every damn thing in this country. And everybody, you can't say, oh, you're anti-Semitic. No, that's just the way it is. That's a fact. And more people are noticing that. And are also noticing a lot more than that. But anyway, I digress. The point is that getting back to the Section 224, I got on the phone, and I made my phone calls, and I hope you did too. You contact your representative, your congressional rep, your senator, blah, blah, blah. And so I did that, and I contacted my senator, Tim Sheehy. And you might remember Tim Sheehy was the guy that broke that Marine's arm a couple months ago, who was screaming about the genocide that was going on in Palestine. Anyway, Tim Sheehy, I called and I asked specifically. I was very specific. I wanted to know his stand on Section 224 of the NDAA, and I also wanted to know about his stand on Section 622 of Senate Bill 4715. And I already mentioned what those are about. And I was very specific about this. Okay? I'm very concerned about our country right now. And again, this is not a partisan issue. We can complain and and bicker back and forth, about whatever issue that you want to talk about, gun control, abortion, yada, yada, whatever. The bottom line here is once we lose our country, we don't have a choice. Those choices will be made for you. So anyway, I contacted Tim Sheehy, and I asked specifically about Section 224. What is your stand on that? Okay, and I got the letter back. I got a letter yesterday from Tim Sheehy's office. And so he wrote me back, or his staff member wrote me back, or they sent out a generic response letter. Anyway, I read. It says, "Dear Dave, thank you for contacting my office regarding our national defense. I appreciate hearing from you on this issue." Yeah, right. "The United States sits at a critical junction, with our adversaries devoting more resources to their militaries and getting closer to us in military technology than at any point since the end of World War II. As a member of the Senate Armed Services Committee, former Navy SEAL, and former owner of a defense business, I have a unique understanding of the American defense apparatus. I'm committed to supporting our warfighters and keeping America safe. We must maintain a credible deterrent to these adversaries, which is why one of my top priorities for this Congress has been defense acquisition reform. Our military is hamstrung by a dilapidated industrial base and an overregulated and unreliable buyer in the Department of Defense. For this reason, I have introduced the Prototype to Production Act, and that's Senate Bill 2135, to By the Budget Flexibility Act, Senate Bill 2138, the Expedited Delivery Act, Senate Bill 2137, the Smart Pricing Practices Performance Act, Senate Bill 2136, and the Procurement Reform for Immediate Military Equipment, PRIME Act, Senate Bill 2139. This package of bills would provide the Pentagon with the tools and flexibilities to procure innovative new systems, provide for quicker testing of new capabilities, and follow-up purchases, and make common-sense contracting reforms permanent. I am working across party lines to support competition among the industrial base, restructure procurement contracts, and eliminate wasteful spending. As the Senate navigates the National Defense Authorization Act and considers legislation related to supporting our warfighters, I will be sure to keep your comments in mind." By the way, I break away. He's just closing out this letter here. This was the first mention you just heard, and I will reread. It says, "As the Senate navigates the National Defense Authorization Act and considers legislation related to supporting our warfighters, I will be sure to keep your comments in mind." That was the only reference whatsoever in this entire letter to the NDAA that I was asking specifically about, and more specifically, Section 224. He never mentioned anything about that. Let that settle in. You think your representatives, and I don't care if they're Republicrats or Demopublicans, do you think any of them give a rat's butt about what you think? Do you? Do you really? So as far as this letter is concerned, yeah, I will just take this and throw it in the circular file. Because this is, a clear indication that he doesn't give a crap about what I feel. Doesn't care. Not at all. So I would be curious to find out if any of you people out there have done the same. Have you contacted your representative or your senator? Have you gotten a response? Did you actually have a conversation with any of their aides in their office? I'd be really curious to find out anybody's feedback. I want to hear from you guys. Have you had an experience like this? Because, yes, I started off the show saying, look, we have to avoid negative, emotions and frequencies or whatever, and I don't want to be frustrated. I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be, sad. But, I mean, when you get crap like this, these are, I'm this guy's constituent. I would think that he would have the integrity to at least respond specifically to my question. But they won't do that. No, that's not the way Washington works anymore. So anyway, the phone number here, I'd love to hear from you, 215-867-8255. Again, that's 215-TOP-TALK, 215-867-8255. The line is open now, so if you want to call in, now's the time to do it. Because a lot of people, are really disgusted with their representatives. And again, this is not a partisan issue. I'm disgusted with the Republicans. I'm disgusted with the Democrats, and I have been for a long, long time. There was a glimmer of hope here and there. You know, when you get, RFK Jr. all of a sudden coming around, you got, I don't know, there's several different examples where we start to get a little glimmer of hope that, maybe one of the parties would start to wake up and smell the, I was going to say coffee, but I was going to say gunpowder. I don't know what the hell they're smelling, but they sure is not smelling the attitude of the American people. I guess they are, I don't know, maybe there's smelling kosher foods. I don't know. But anyway, I just, like I said, I got this letter yesterday. It took them their sweet time to get back to me. I mean, this letter is dated June 3rd. And I just got this yesterday. I mean, come on now. I mean, today's the 24th of June. It took them 21 days. Okay? And again, it was a non-responsive response. So yeah, I'm a little PO'd. I'm a little frustrated. You know, why can't we get a straight answer from any of these guys? And why is it? And I don't think they even care anymore. I really don't, because so few people actually, engage them. And maybe that's why they have the attitude that they have. Nobody gives a rat's butt. Because we've all been trained, and I don't want to use the word brainwashed, but let's just say conditioned, to guarantee intellectual and spiritual stagnation, because we've all been trained or conditioned or brainwashed, whatever, to not talk ever about religion or politics. No, you can't do that. It's not polite conversation. Well, in not discussing these things, we guarantee, what is the result? Stagnation in the spiritual and political world, because you don't talk about it, you don't learn about it, you don't exchange ideas, you don't grow. So and that's one of the main reasons why we're in the pickle that we're in. And like I was talking about yesterday, we have a plethora of distractions out there. Right now, it's the FIFA Cup, the World Cup. Okay, week before it was the Knicks. Okay. It was the NBA championship. It was the Stanley Cup championship. And no doubt now that, FIFA is going to be going on for another couple of weeks. And when that's done, okay, they're going to ramp up the baseball season. Okay, because we'll be coming up on the All-Star break. So, there's always a distraction. Of course, we can always talk about the movies that are being released. And I'll be honest with you, there's a couple of them I wouldn't mind going to see. I want to see what this Disclosure Day movie is all about. So, and I'm sure we're not going to get all the straight scoop out of that either. After all, it is Steven Spielberg. So anyway, like I said, I'm just a little bit frustrated I could have expected that. But I'd be curious to find out if anybody else has had a similar experience, because they don't give a rat's ass. They don't. Anyway, all right. As far as the world situation is concerned, yeah, we got more of the same. The ceasefire that isn't a ceasefire. By the way, before I go down that road, there is something else that I wanted to tell you about. Staying on topic here about whether or not your elected officials or the Department of Justice or the FBI or the DOA, whatever, they don't care about you. They want you in the dark. As long as you're ignorant, as long as you're uninformed, you're going to be easily manipulated. So, what has happened in Kansas? The Kansas Supreme Court Law Library has been removed. Yeah. So public browsing is now banned. You're not allowed to go in and look up the law. Think about that. There's a gentleman here, I don't know what this guy's name is here, but he took a video and he went into the building where the Kansas Supreme Court Law Library has been, and he went in there, he took a little video, and here he is walking around in the big room. Listen to this.
Hello. I'm going live from the Law Library, the Supreme Court Law Library of Kansas. As you can see, all the books are gone.
I'm going to pause it. He's panning around the room, a big, big room, and there's nothing there. Everything has been removed. All the bookshelves, the ones on the wall, the standalones, all the law books are gone.
All of the books are gone, and I cannot browse them. If you want to know more, my suggestion is to contact the Kansas Supreme Court Law Library.
Unbelievable. Now, that's happening in Kansas. I wonder how many other states are going to follow suit. And I'd be really curious to find that out. So, again, what was it Thomas Jefferson said? Having to do with an ignorant public. I'll see if I can't look that up while I'm playing one of the other clips here. But, an uninformed public is very, very easy to manipulate. So this is why, they control the media. Everything is being controlled. And I've been screaming about that. That's my theme song. You Won't Be Trusted Anymore was written dedicated to the media. And that was over 30 years ago. So, I guess I'm stuck in that loop I was talking about at the beginning of this broadcast is that, I'm frustrated. Yeah, I get pissed off. Yeah, I get sad because there's not enough people who are willing to pay attention, roll up their sleeves and understand that if you want your freedom, if you want your liberty, you have to tend the garden. Our founding fathers planted those seeds relying upon us, their posterity, to tend the garden. But no, we didn't do that. So the garden got all overgrown and weeded, and now the fruits of it's not bearing fruit anymore. And the sad thing is most Americans don't give a rat's butt. Anyway, in a somewhat unrelated topic, okay, all these data centers that are going on, a lot of people are screaming about the water, and well, they should. But guess what? This is a problem that's being created deliberately because there are alternatives to keeping those places cool. They don't have to suck all the water out, but I guess that's just the cheapest way to do it, and they don't give a rat's butt about anybody who lives around the data center. Hey, this young lady, what is she called? Oh, yeah, her name is Charisse. And she's been posting some really interesting stuff on social media. And here's her take on what's going on with these data centers and the cooling systems. Here it is.
So something that I feel like more people need to know, data centers don't actually need water. They need cooling systems. And they're using water because it's the cheapest way to do it. Yeah. Data centers, they generate like a shitload of heat. And if the heat's not removed somehow, the servers will overheat and it all stops working. So when people are hearing like AI is consuming millions of gallons of water, we're all just assuming it's like this unavoidable part of the technology, but that's actually not true. And
really?
It almost is like worse. They don't need water. They're just doing this for no fucking reason because it's the cheapest option.
Oh, sorry about that.
They need cooling. There are alternatives, and I've wrote a few of them down. There's immersion cooling systems. They can literally submerge servers in a specifically designed synthetic fluid that absorbs heat. There's dielectric coolants that can circulate through equipment without conducting electricity. There's closed loop cooling systems that recycle coolant instead of constantly consuming fresh water. Dry cooling systems that use the air instead of evaporation. I don't know, I could pay people to blow on them to cool them off before wasting our water. Another thing, companies can even build data centers in colder climates.
That's a concept, yeah. What about a data center in Alaska, okay, in a cooler climate? That makes sense.
To reduce cooling demands in the first place. The technology exists, is my point. The issue is that many of those alternatives that I just explained to you are more expensive. And that's the part that I think is interesting. Yeah, it's interesting they're wasting all the water. What's more interesting is they don't have to waste the water. Ordinary people, we're always told, like, conserve our water, take shorter showers, and water your lawn less, follow drought restrictions, be mindful of your water consumption. Meanwhile, some of the wealthiest corporations on earth are consuming enormous amounts of water because it's the cheapest way to cool their infrastructure. There's a difference between something that's necessary and something being the cheapest option available. When a human uses water, it's because they will die without it. when a data center uses water, it's because somebody in a boardroom ran the numbers and decided it was the most cost-effective cooling method. Who cares about the drinking water? The data centers. And I think that's a conversation that's worth having. Because if water is essential for human life, maybe human beings should have priority access to water before the latest AI model does. Just a thought.
Yeah, she makes some good points. However, there's something else that needs to be taken into consideration, and that is the corporate mentality, okay? It is illegal for a corporation to do anything that is not profitable. They must do what is profitable. They are legally obligated to do that. They're legally obligated to serve the stockholders. So if they find the cheapest method to cool the data centers, and it happens to be to suck all the water out of the region, then they are legally obligated to do that instead of investing more money into these different cooling systems that this young lady just pointed out. So we're stuck between a rock and a hard place. Okay, and again, people have to understand that this is a legal obligation of a corporation to do. All right? To heck with the public, to heck with the constituency, to heck with the environment, to heck with anything that stands in the way of profits. That is the mentality. And this is going to be the downfall of civilization if this doesn't get turned around. So, and by the way, I also want to remind you folks out there that we all know that technology is constantly advancing. Look at your computer or your cell phone, okay? What's the technology going to be like in 4 or 5 years? What you've got holding in your hand right now will be obsolete. It will have to be updated, okay? Well, such is the case with these data centers. And these data centers are costing tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars to build. So if the people who are building these things, they're spending all this money and expecting a return on their investment, correct? That's the way it goes. So the bottom line here is that if they're investing all this money to set up these data centers, all these servers, all these computers, all these chips, and all the stuff that goes along with building the data centers, guess what? They better figure out how to make their profit within the next 4 to 5 years, because within 4 to 5 years, all of that hardware will have to be replaced, or almost all of it. It'll all have to be updated. Tear it out, rebuild it. So the question is, these efforts to build all these data centers, are these efforts going to be profitable? Is it for profit? Well, yeah, corporate mentality demands it. However, if there is another motivating factor here, maybe it has something to do with control. Yeah, control. And I've mentioned this before. We all know that they're talking about, the CBDC, the digital currency, and the 15-minute cities. All right? And then we've got all this AI that's going on, and then you stop and start thinking about, add into that, robotics. Yeah, I was talking about that. You regular listeners know a couple of weeks ago I was talking about the videos, and you can go online and search it. Look for Kung Fu robots. Do a search for Kung Fu robots, all right? And you'll see a presentation, a stage presentation, a bunch of Chinese kids out there on the stage, and they're doing impeccable, magnificent kung fu tumbles and spins and, all the stuff that goes in with kung fu. And then a bunch of robots come out. There's maybe a dozen of them or something like that. And they are all perfectly synchronized, perfectly executing all of these kung fu moves, doing flips and somersaults and tumbles and jumps and stuff like that in perfect synchronization. That's important to understand. So if you watch this video and you see these robots and how perfectly that they are, in sync and executing these very, very specific moves, and then let's watch the video of the Boston Marathon or whatever marathon that they had where we've got a couple of robots that are down here and they're running in the marathon. Let's take a look at how these robots are doing. And then they show you this video clip of this robot clinkety-clunking down the street. Oh, he fell down. Oh, stand him up again. Oh. So they're showing the American people that the technology here, it leaves a bit to be desired. But meanwhile, the Chinese, they got it all figured out. So the question is, okay, now getting back to these data centers, you factor in the robo-dogs that are now being deployed all over the country in the police departments. And then you've got all the drones, and we've seen all the marvelous sky shows, showing, these drones that go up and they form all these really beautiful graphics and pictures and make pretend fireworks, et cetera, et cetera. They're going to need some sort of computer system to synchronize the drones, the robo-dogs, and yes, the robots that they say, well, we would never use those in a military capacity. If you believe that, I got some waterfront property in Arizona that I want to sell you. So, these data centers, if they've only got a lifespan of 4 to 5 years before they have to be redone, and if these data centers are going to be, such huge, sprawling acres and acres and acres of computers, all over the country, what is the goal here? Do you see what I'm saying? Where I'm getting at? They're going to need a lot of computing power to synchronize the robots, the robo-dogs, the drones, and then, of course, there's all the Peter Thiel information. We all know about that, the surveillance and the flock cameras. All this stuff is related and connected. Do you see where I'm going with this? So, dear listener, do you see where this is all heading? I don't think anybody really wants to see it, but unfortunately, that's just the way it is, as Walter Cronkite used to say. All right, going to take a quick break, and I'll be right back.
Get More Tank will save you money every month on gas. Get More Tank is a tablet with active ingredients that adds big mileage to every tank. Made in America, the Get More Tank formula is used by trucking companies and heavy industry. Now the Get More Tank formula is available to you. Get More Tank works in any gas or diesel engine, cleans your engine, lowers emissions, and you'll feel improved engine performance every time you step on the gas. Get More Tank works for cars, trucks, boats, motorcycles, four-wheelers, mowers, and blowers. Hey, if you got an engine, then Get More Tank. Contractors, electricians, plumbers, painters, and lawn service companies, Get More Tank will save you money and extend the life of your engines. If you're an owner-operator running your big rig around the town or across the country, Get More Tank will save you money too. If you're a farmer, all of your equipment can use Get More Tank. A 5-pack on sale at GetMoreTank.com for just $22.22 plus shipping. Use the promo code REDPILL101 and get 10% off. Save your money, save your engine, save the earth at GetMoreTank.com. Get More Tank is EPA registered, doesn't void warranties. Results vary.
And you can get more tank by visiting our website, TheWTFReports.com. Click on the sponsors button. It'll take you down to an area where you can click on Get More Tank, and you can read all the specifications and details about how and why this fuel catalyst works. And it does work, folks. Right off the bat, if you start using Get More Tank within your first tank, you will notice when you hit the accelerator, your vehicle takes off. It actually jumps out of the starting line when the light turns green. And then after a tank or two, your engine begins to adjust on its new efficient way of burning fuel because it's burning it more it's cleaner. It's more efficient. So A, you get more power. B, it's running cleaner and more efficiently. And C, this is the kicker. After a tank or two, your engine will adjust and you start to enjoy mileage increasing. Yeah, anywhere between 15 and 20% you'll enjoy, depending, of course, on your make, model, year of vehicle and your driving habits. But if you can get 20% mileage out, that means one purchase of $20 gets you 5 tablets, 1 tablet per tank. That means the 5th tank is free. This is a no-brainer. And by the way, I've had people contact me through email saying, hey, thank you for telling me about Get More Tank because this stuff works. And I go, yeah, of course it works. That's why I'm promoting it here. So as a matter of fact, I'm going to go back and see if I can pick out some of the audio clips of people that called in. So anyway, so yeah, visit our website, TheWTFReports.com. Click on the sponsors page, and get more tank. Oh, by the way, Andy Stewart may be joining me either tomorrow or Friday. Probably Friday. I want to hear the feedback that he's getting from the listeners. All right, get more tank, folks. All right, it's 41 minutes past the hour, whatever hour you're sitting in. And, all right, changing gears a little bit. A lot of people are really getting PO'd at Israel. Yep, and with good reason. With good reason. A plot was uncovered. Israel was going to try to assassinate some of the negotiators that were going to be working with the Pakistanis. Now, I remind you that Pakistan is a nuclear power. Okay, that's important to keep in mind. And Pakistan, of course, is in communication with Turkey, with Iran, with Kuwait, Yemen, and Russia, and China, and India. Okay? And India is also a nuclear power. And bottom line here is that all of these countries are looking askance at Israel, and well, they should, because every time there's a negotiation and there's a ceasefire, I mean, the Israelis violate the ceasefire every single time. Since last October, I think they violated ceasefires 480-something times. And the rest of the world has had it. They've absolutely had. This is one of the reasons why Trump and Bibi had a little bit of a rift. Now, was this play? Was this kabuki theater? I don't know. I just look at deeds and not words. And like I said, a lot of people all over the world are saying, wait a second, we are sick to death of these wars. This has been going on. I mean, most of the adult lives of Americans, we've been warring with somebody. I mean, this goes on for decades and decades and decades. When I became politically active, it was, during the first Gulf War, George Bush Sr., Norman Schwarzkopf, Colin Powell. We heard about the babies in the incubators. Yes, Naira, the Kuwaiti ambassador, was testifying before Congress, and she was crying and saying it was terrible. The Iraqi National Guard came in, and they took the babies out of the incubators, and they were throwing them back and forth with bayonets, and it was terrible. And it turns out that was BS. The whole thing was BS. And where did they get that information? From Israel. Yeah. And of course, same time, and Bibi Netanyahu saying, Iran is only a couple of months away from a bomb. How many years has he been saying that? So we know they've been passing us bad intel. So anyway, I digress. The issue here is that the entire world is looking at Israel and saying, what the heck do you think you're doing? How do you think you're going to get away with that? And as a matter of fact, there's an Israeli guy. I don't know his name. I've seen him post numerous times, and he comes flat out with the quiet part and says it out loud. He was speaking at the JNS, which is the Jewish News Society. Excuse me. Yeah, the JNS, Jewish News Society, and he made this statement. Listen to this.
Israel's existence is not negotiable. And it does not depend on superpowers or the public opinion. And if they keep pushing Israel to the corner, they are the ones who are going to suffer the most. Israel hasn't used everything that it has.
Whoa,
and
really?
Israel, on a purpose, did not expose the advanced weapons that it has. For a very important reason.
Okay, I'm going to pause that. Yes, they have advanced weapons they haven't told anybody about. And he says that they haven't told anybody for a very good reason. What do you suppose those kind of weapons are? Keep in mind that there's something called the Samson Option. And as the world's opinion of Israel is turning against them, and there's a lot of people here in the United States that are turning against Israel as well, and it's not anti-Semitism. That's getting so tired. That is getting so tired. It's like we keep hearing 6 million, 6 million, 6 million, Holocaust. October 7th. It's all BS. But the bottom line here is that if Israel feels like they're backed against a corner, and they may well be in the near future, especially if America pulls its support, and if Americans can wake up enough to stop these bills and prevent Israel from taking over our military, or excuse me, I meant merging with the military and merging with our intelligence. I can't say taking over. No, that would never happen. No, that would never happen. But anyway, let's let him continue.
We don't want the enemy to know what we are having. And now, at this point, we're just playing around.
Oh, really?
So, this is the clear message.
What's the message?
To those who think that they can annihilate Israel.
It's annihilate.
Behind Israel is existence, is the creator. Israel is not coincidental.
Oh, okay, he's calling upon the Creator. In other words, yeah, we're talking about God's chosen people. He wants to remind you that. Yeah, they alone are God's chosen people. The rest of us, don't you forget your place. You are Goyim. Yeah, you are not a human. You are Amalek. All right, continue.
I try not to, sorry for the long answer, please.
That's wonderful.
I try not to use God, because God could mean anything for anybody. But if they think the Israeli survival, 5,000 years, is coincidental, they need to rethink.
Okay, so basically, he's basically saying that they are God's chosen people. Don't you dare think about going against them, because they have weapons that you have no idea. I wouldn't doubt that. I wouldn't doubt that they have all kinds of weaponry. I wouldn't doubt that the U.S. military has weapons that we don't even know exist. We got a hint about that when we went in there into Venezuela and took out Maduro, and some of the testimony from the locals there were the absolute astonishment. But anyway, the point is that if Israel is backed into a corner, if the United States pulls its financial and military support from Israel, from the pressure of the American people, and there's going to have to be a lot of that for our paid-off whores in Congress to reverse their positions, the Samson option may be something that Israel is going to execute. Now, for those who don't know what the Samson option is, basically, it's saying, look, if we can't play the game, we're going to turn the whole table over and nobody can play. In other words, if we can't rule the world, if we can't maintain our powerful position in not just the United States, but all the Western countries that have been infiltrated, if we cannot maintain that power, we will blow the world up. And I wouldn't doubt that they have the technology to do it. I mean, after all, it was JFK who was having a problem with Menachem Begin. Oh, I'm sorry, no, Ben-Gurion. He got Ben-Gurion really pissed off because he was demanding that the UN get in there and inspect their nuclear facilities. See whether they were developing the bomb. And of course, Menachem Begin was not happy about that. Anyway, that's all the history. But the point is that I have every reason to believe, and everybody else does too, that Israel is a nuclear power, although they'll never admit it. And they may have some very, very, very advanced nuclear weapons that we don't even know about. And the point is that it's sad to admit this, but this is their mentality. If they can't have it their way, and again, this is a situation where it doesn't matter what you believe. It doesn't matter what I believe. What matters is what they believe. And they believe you are subhuman. If you're not one of them, you are Amalek. You are Goyim. Oh, and by the way, I got to see if I can't get confirmation on this. Somebody posted something, and I can't say that I'll take this one to the bank. But they were talking about a lot of the products on the shelves of some of the convenience stores, specifically the 7-Eleven. There's a brand called Go Yum. Yeah, yum, yum, yum. Yeah, let's go. Get some yum, yum. Go Yum. Say it. Go Yum. Go Yum. It's slop. It's garbage food. It's not for the real kosher people. Yeah, the kosher people don't eat that food. That food is for the Goyim. Anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you. But again, doesn't make any difference what you believe or I believe. It's what they believe. And I got to tell you, Norm Finkelstein basically spelled it out. Here's what Norm Finkelstein had to say.
The IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, they kill children as a hobby. As a hobby. The problem is not Netanyahu. The problem is the whole of Israeli society. If you look at the polls, half of Israeli Jews believe Israel should commit a genocide in Gaza. That's what the polls show. About 70 to 75% in polls say there are no innocents in Gaza. No innocents.
There's nothing but children.
Yeah. The IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, they kill children as a hobby. As a hobby.
Okay, yeah, it's repeating there. Well, he's right. I mean, and there's one report after another of Israeli Defense Force, IDF, and their drones. Now, their drones, they don't even have to be out in the field. Some guy could be sitting in his basement running the drones. And let me see. There was let me see. Oh, this. Okay, I got another clip here. Let's see here. Which one is this? Okay. The Israelis, they have drones, and they can go and, be sitting in the basement, running a drone, watching a screen, and they fly the drone around until they find a Palestinian mother who's breastfeeding her child, and then they zero in on the child and blow his head off. This is standard operating procedure for God's chosen people. Okay? As a matter of fact, there was another speaker, this woman here, again, speaking at the Jewish News Society, the International Policy Summit, and here's what she had to say.
Britain and Europe will not survive their cultural death wish. This week, I was horrified to see America moved alarmingly to join them. President Trump has not escaped the Iranian trap, as I think some of his comments today indicate he is well aware. Either he fights properly to defeat the Iranian regime.
Okay, listen to this. She's making a threat here. You do this or we'll do that. Either he fights properly,
or America will be finished as a force to defend civilization itself.
I'm going to pause it. That is their goal. You need to understand that is the goal. They see the entire West. If you haven't, checked into this, done a little research, and understand what Edom is, EDOM. Now, in the minds of these extremists, the Israeli extremists, they have never forgiven Rome for destroying the temple. Rome basically migrated into Europe, into Western Europe, and to North America. So, in their mind, before the Mashiach can return, then Edom must be destroyed. That's what they believe. So they want to destroy Edom, which is Europe and the United States. And you can watch Harrison Smith's short documentary called The Eighth Front. I highly recommend that. And this is not opinion. This is not commentary. These are all news clips, quotes directly from the horse's mouth, from Bibi Netanyahu, Ben Gvir, whatever. This is their goal. They want to destroy the West. And they're doing a great job. They really are. Anyway, I'll let her continue.
Israel will not allow Iran to get the bomb. If necessary, with or without America, it will fight Iran alone.
Okay, well, you just might have to do that. But you're going to be in for a big surprise. Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to share that with you. As a matter of fact, there's another statement here. Oh, gosh, and we're just running out of time here. There is a representative at the UN. Let me see if I could pronounce his name. It's Moralidha. He's a chair of the Commission of Inquiry at the UN, and he was discussing Israel and their activities. Here he is.
I must share with all of you that...
oh, what happened here? Okay, wait a second. Somehow I got unplugged. Oh, okay. I don't have a producer here, so... whoa, okay, this is going to go... There we go. Okay, there it is. All right. So here is Mr. Muralidha at the UN discussing, shall we say, the practices of the IDF. Here it is.
I must share with all of you that apart from the sources that we've quoted in the report, we also conducted oral hearings after we arrived here in Geneva this time. And 3 of the doctors who were involved in treatment of children in Gaza spoke to us. And they confirmed what the report has found on the basis of available material, that the gunshot wounds were specifically directed at the head and the neck to cause maximum damage. In one instance, a breastfeeding baby was shot by a quadcopter through the head, and the baby now suffers a permanent paralysis. So there have been all these instances quoted in the report of specific targeting of children. Quadcopters, as all of you are aware, has thermal imagery. It has infrared heat cameras which can tell you the shape of the body. And so the soldiers are able to immediately detect, sitting wherever they are, that this is a child who appears on the screen. And indeed, it is like a game for them. And we have quoted that in the report, where the soldiers say that they can... let me quote this. In the ITVX documentary Breaking Ranks Inside Israel's War, one Israeli soldier described, "The drones, in my opinion, are what most dehumanizes the other side. You see everything on a screen. You drop the bomb. It feels like a game. You can sit in some basement of a house, safe, with your helmet off, scratching your balls, half-dressed, and kill Palestinians." This is a quotation. This is why I say Israeli soldiers have themselves put on the public domain so much incriminating evidence about what they've been doing.
Yep, that's what they've been doing. And we've been witnessing that in real time. And shame on America for allowing this to go on. We've been witnessing mass genocide. I mean, 83% of the casualties in Palestine are women and children. Yeah. And we support that? Oh, you can say, oh, I don't support that. Well, what are you doing to stop it? Well, they're not going to listen to me anyway. Well, that's a good point, but at least you should be raising your voice. You know, silence is consent. So for all the people out there listening that haven't contacted their representatives or their senators or, screamed from the rooftops, if you do nothing and say nothing, the blood is on your hands, whether you want to admit that or not. And, talking heads like myself and so many others have been screaming about this, expecting somebody to do some damn thing. But nobody's doing doodly squat. Abby Martin said it very clearly.
To isolate this rogue.
Oh, wait a second. Here we go.
The whole world has to isolate this rogue, apartheid, genocidal, maniac, serial killing, pathologically lying state. Isolate it. Shame anyone who goes there. Academics, celebrities, politicians, and they've been exposed for what they are. And Zionism's on its last leg. It only exists by the weight of its propaganda, and that propaganda has collapsed entirely. The world sees Israel for what it is, and it can't last for long in its current state. You cannot expect change in a society this far gone. It is full-throated fascist. And that's why they act the way they do, with full, total impunity, because they have no humanity left. This is a society so far gone with protection of a military empire, with hatred in their hearts.
And again, I have to ask the question, if they claim to be God's chosen people, and we are witnessing one atrocity after another, we see deceit, we see false flags, we see assassinations, we see murder, we see torture, we see rape. and they're God's chosen people. Well, that makes me question, which God do they worship? Because it sure as heck isn't the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It sure as heck isn't the God that gave us 10 commandments. And they all claim that, oh yeah, the Jews and the Christians have the same Old Testament, and they have the same, prophets, etc., etc. Well, maybe the Old Testament Jews, the Jews of the Torah, are not the same Jews of the Talmud. Maybe, just maybe, they worship another God. And it was Abe Finkelstein, Rabbi Abe Finkelstein. I've played that clip on the show numerous times. It gets a lot of people pissed off, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Not. He came flat out and said, our God is Lucifer. So again, it comes down to, it doesn't make any difference what you believe. It doesn't make any difference what I believe. What makes a difference is what they believe. And we have to get that through our heads. And unless America is willing to roll up its sleeves, get busy, get involved, and yes, it's frustrating. I just shared with you in the beginning of the broadcast the response that I got from my Senator Tim Sheehy, who didn't address the question that I asked. So yeah, I'm frustrated. Yeah, I'm angry, and I'm a hypocrite for telling everybody not to be frustrated and not to be angry and not to be sad. But we've got a battle in front of us, folks, and everything that we do, I've said this many, many times, if love isn't part of your decision-making process, then you need to rethink your decision. And sometimes, and I've heard this said before, a time comes when good people have to do bad things. And I guess it's what motivates you. Anyway, Anna Kasparian had this to say.
Number one, I do hate the state of Israel, meaning the government of Israel. I do. And I have no bones about admitting that publicly. I despise them. I think they're evil. I think that they have blood on their hands. And I think they engage in some of the most their behavior is so disgusting that it has fundamentally changed my view of the world and my own government. Yes, I hate the government of Israel deeply, deeply.
Yeah, and so look, and they always have double standards too. So,
why am I required to love Israel?
What a strange requirement. You know what?
I'm an American.
Scott Jennings doesn't properly love Turkey.
No, he doesn't properly love America enough. Why are you making Americans complicit in a genocide by defending the genocide? And by the way, his whole argument is, no. Do not at all criticize the fact that we fund Israel's wars. We as American citizens have to bankroll Israel's atrocities. That's what he's mad about. That I would have the audacity to question Americans being forced to pay for Israel's atrocities.
Yeah, I bring up Turkey because if you put any other country in, it makes no sense at all. You have to love the Netherlands. If you don't love the Netherlands, you're a terrible person. What? Why? Why do I have to love the Netherlands? They're a perfectly lovely country, but why do I have to love them? Why do I have to give them $300 billion? Why do I have to support a genocide they're doing?
Good points. Good points. And the sad thing is America and the rest of the world has been browbeaten into, this cage that if you dare criticize Israel, you're an anti-Semite. That's not the way it works.
We can't wait for you to start again.
All right, well, boy, that hour goes by quickly, doesn't it? Anyway, I hope you're enjoying this broadcast, and if you're listening on BitChute or Rumble or Facebook or YouTube or whatever, please remember to click like, share, subscribe, and above all else, spread the word through word of mouth, because that's the best advertising. And speaking of advertising, hey, help us to pay the bills here. Do some business with us. Get more tank, doggone it. I'm screaming about that because it's good stuff. And you can also pick up a Wave Watch because Tesla technology refined by Royal Raymond Rife actually works. Check out the Wave Watch. And also you can pick up some merch, coffee cups, baseball caps, T-shirts. We got them all at our website, TheWTFReports.com. All right, that's going to wrap it up for today's broadcast. I thank you for your listenership. God bless you all. Stay safe, stay free, and God willing, I'll see you tomorrow.